Friday night, everybody. The
Oof.
exact way I wanted my Friday night to go. Guys, presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 in lineups. When you play your first $5, use the promo code Welcome to Light Years. Tommy, that fucking sucked. I just want to get that out. I just want to get that out of the way. That fucking sucked.
Yeah, I mean, a fake comeback always sucks, but it wasn't even really a fake comeback because they took the lead.
The thing is, I don't think it was a fake comeback. They obviously were in a close game, but they're now 5-8 in clutch games, 3-5 when Steph plays. They should have won that game. Like they were very much in that game. They did not execute down the stretch. The play that sticks in my mind was QP getting a wide open three in the corner and hesitating.
Sure.
An extended amount of time. But on top of it, the other plays that stand in my mind are Rudy Gobert just owning every rebound that he wanted down the stretch there. Warriors were just soft down the stretch. I don't really know what else to say. It fucking sucks.
I don't know if it was necessarily every rebound with Rudy. It was more whenever he rolled into the paint, we had no answer.
Yeah.
One other play that sticks in my mind is go up 117, 114. Minnesota comes back down. You let Dante walk into a wide open three. And now it's 117, 117. If you get a stop there, so about a minute 45, minute 30 left, you probably win the game. Yeah. But what I'm really, really, really tired of is, obviously they won the last couple of games without Steph. But when Steph is out, the offense can't do shit. When Draymond is out, the defense, for the most part, looks like shit outside of the Cleveland and Chicago game.
They can't get a stop when they need one. That is the story of the game. Yeah.
In a close game without Draymond, they can't get a stop. And this franchise has taken those two specifically and what they can do on both ends of the ball for granted so much. And look, Steph is Steph, one of the most incredible top 10, top 5, wherever you have him, players of all time. Draymond has his warts, and a lot of people hate him, and there's a lot of conversation online tonight. Well, maybe they're going to score more without Draymond. They can't get a fucking stop without him when it matters, and that's why he's still on the team. Like, as many warts as he has, as many bad qualities as he has, they've just been so over-reliant on these guys. It's like Draymond will figure out the defense, and Steph will figure out the offense. You just kind of get all these random players together and hope it works. You need more talent than that in the modern NBA, and they just have not adapted. And every loss like this, because there's been so many over the past couple of years, every loss like this is just more and more frustrating because it's the same story over and over and over again.
Yeah, talent is actually the best way to sum it up. The Warriors are, for our friends at Blitz Analytic here, as I'm pulling it up right now, they're about 8 points per possession worse defensively without Draymond. Honestly, that's better than I would have expected.
That's just actually an insane number. That's an insane number. For the most part, defensive player of the years, it's like 4 or 5 points better per 100 possessions. So that's such a ridiculous number that it doesn't even make sense. If you look at the history of defensive player of the years, it's about 4 to 5 points per 100.
Yeah. And I think the crazy part here is, like, I could dig into the numbers. Anytime they need to get a stop and he's not on the floor, I can guarantee you they won't get the stop. That's all it is. Like, they're in a single possession game with Minnesota, going blow for blow, a game that they probably should have won, particularly since Ant didn't play.
Yep.
And did you have any confidence they could get a key start? Like, they were down one possession, a minute left. It was 120, 118. Naz Reid misses the free throw. You're like, okay, we got life. They go down. They don't score. It was kind of not a great offensive possession, but they got a shot around the rim. Moses Moody missed it. Going down the other way, did you have any faith they were going to get a stop of that possession?
No, absolutely not. And it's a couple of things, right? I wish, and it's not like the options are great.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the issue when they have all of their guards available is there's too many guards on the roster. you need a consolidation trade at some point to get rid of some of these guards because they ended up with too many 3 and 4 guard lineups tonight, and that's the reason why Minnesota scores 70 plus points in the paint. They get every rebound down the stretch. You can't get a stop inside. At the end of the day, like length, not only helps you rebound, it helps you deter people from even going to the rim in the first place. I mean, Minnesota felt like there was no resistance because it was always Melton or Pods or some random guy guarding Jaden McDaniels. So it feels like they have a clear path to the rim at all times. And I think Steve can be better. I think he could just lean into, you know what, Pods isn't playing as much tonight, or whatever guard isn't. Play Gee more, play your forward options more. But at the end of the day, the team is small and they've built no type of depth with their forwards or centers. They've only built it with their guards. And that's not how teams play today. Like small ball only works when you are faster, quicker, and more skilled than the other team. They're none of those things anymore. So the small ball is not going to work in those situations. And teams are just playing bigger in general. So you run into these same goddamn problems all the time. And I'm just tired of saying it.
I don't buy the whole teams are playing bigger in general. But I will say I agree 100% with your point. If you're going to be smaller, you have to have some advantage. You have to be quicker. You have to be more skilled. I don't think they're quicker or more skilled than the Minnesota team out there. And Steph is more skilled than the team we saw out there. But like in general, they're not a particularly skillful team. They're not a particularly athletic team. So going small doesn't give them that much of an inherent advantage. Like it's like that Family Guy thing where it's like fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life. Like that's kind of how I feel with them. That's kind of how I feel about them. It's just like where is their advantage outside of Steph dragging 2 guys?
Nowhere. I mean, Jimmy can create advantages a little bit, get to the rim, score in the paint, find open guys. But what'd they shoot tonight from 3? 11 of 45, 12. Like it was really, really bad. If you put more shooters around Jimmy, I feel like especially when Steph's out, that type of stuff works better. And they are so 3-point reliant right now, which is fine. A lot of teams are. But when the threes aren't going in like they were against Chicago, then you just kind of look like a bad basketball team. And that's what they look like. Not bad. They looked very average tonight. And they're not.
Well, close. I think your 3-point shooting point is correct. They don't really have any way of generating offense outside of Steph. And so what does that lead? It's just a lot of like pass around the perimeter. Maybe someone touches the paint with the ball, and it leads to a 3-point shot. And if they're hitting, that's great. And if not, you really don't have anything else going for you right now.
Yeah. And I mean, people will,
Can we talk Jimmy?
Yeah, we can. But just real quick, I thought Pat was like solid tonight. But the reason why Pat is people like have fallen in love with the Pat Spencer thing, and I think he's a very solid player. The reason why he's playing is number one, he can handle the ball for the most part without turning it over, and he can get a paint touch. And this team is so bereft of that. That's why he's getting minutes because they just don't have anybody else who can do that. When other teams have 4, 5, 6 guys who can do that on a consistent basis.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like part of the reason he forced his hilarious. He starts tonight. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yep.
But like, yeah, to your point, it's like ball handler who can get into the paint without turning the ball over and make a smart decision.
Yep.
That's why he was starting. The player they're paying to do that on a more consistent basis is Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he was bad tonight, but I don't think he was particularly special. This is one of those, if this is their team and he's going to be one of the 10 highest paid players in the NBA, top 5 highest paid players in the NBA, I'm going to need a little more than what I saw tonight, particularly when they've had a layoff like they've had this week. Jimmy looks tired and not asserting himself when they've played 3 and 4 nights or 4th game in 7 days. Then I'll have his back and I'll be like, why didn't they build more depth? Why didn't they do X, Y, and Z? And all the things we normally discuss about how we're kind of underwhelmed by the roster and the general front office strategy of the team. This team hasn't played since Sunday. He's rested. They're playing 2 games in 12 days. I'm not saying I expected playoff Jimmy tonight. No, I'm going to say I did expect I expected the version of Jimmy who sniffs out a potential win and goes for the jugular in that moment. I was expecting him to play like a little harder, understanding that like long rest need to win this game. And what I saw was a guy who's just kind of like, I was regular season effort, Jimmy. I don't know. You can call me out if I'm wrong on this, but it's frustrating to me because like I know they don't have depth. I know they don't have like solid depth that like they are top heavy. And it's just like when they have long rests like this, like I just can't have Jimmy not bring in effort like on that tonight.
He's gotten too deferential to Steph, and he feels maybe weird in this environment trying to take over just because, it's always obviously Steph's team, and he's made that clear. Minnesota's size is always going to bother him. He needs to find like specific matchups he can take advantage of. That's how he scores. And Minnesota doesn't have a lot of those. And he just honestly, relative to 2021, 2020, Jimmy, he's older, man. He's 36 years old. And the same pop isn't there. The same athleticism, the same first step isn't there. And because of the lack of forwards on your roster who can like shoot the ball and guard bigger guys, he's guarding Julius Randle all night. So you're tasking him with a bunch of things.
It is really kind of a downstream effect of Draymond not being there.
And not just not Draymond being there, having a guy who's 6'8", 6'9", who's a forward, a stretch forward, who can shoot. Like how often?
Sure, Jimmy... but let's give the charitable answer. Like you're missing the guy who would be guarding Julius Randle, so Jimmy doesn't have to. So he has a little more juice on offense.
Right, and like I am making excuses.
Kerr just goes, our defense let us down.
It did. It absolutely did. He's not wrong about that. And like I am giving excuses to Jimmy. He needs to be better. Like zero fucking question. He needs to be better than that. He needs to be more aggressive. He needs to either draw more fouls or go to the basket more. I don't know exactly what it is. However Jimmy gets stuff done, he needs to do more of that. But again, it's all downstream of having a roster that is not talented enough, doesn't have enough size, doesn't have enough athleticism. We can go down the list. And it makes everybody worse. That's the issue. It makes Moses worse. It makes Pods worse. It makes everybody who plays worse.
The counterpoint I'm going to bring is Anthony Edwards didn't play.
Sure.
They got nothing from their guards, by the way. I was like you. I was like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Dillingham? Is it going to be Dillingham? Is it going to be Terrence Shannon? Like, who's going to be the random guard who puts a 27?
Dante.
Dante can play for sure. That's true. I guess that's not nothing. And he did hit the game-winning shot. So
a couple of them.
Shout out Warrior legend Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, forever Warrior. He had the two probably biggest shots of the game. The one to tie it that I mentioned earlier, 117, and then the corner three to put him up. I think it was 6 with like 50 seconds left. So yeah,
the one where putting up 6, the one that sticks to my mind, or just that was the one right after the Naz Reid misses a free throw. They go down, they get nothing, and then Dante in transition just kills the game.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Because all the momentum's with you when you go up 117, 114, and Dante hits the 3. Now the energy just sucked out of the building. And whoever says momentum doesn't matter in sports is a moron. Because like it was so obvious in that moment that Dante hitting that 3 was like, oh shit. Now they're back in it. You get to stop in a bucket.
Yeah, but you could make that like I'm not into getting into the momentum argument because I agree with you. But like the Wolves went on a 19-0 run, then the Warriors went on a 21-6 run. And then Naz Reid and Dante out of the blue just hit 2 big shots.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to call it a random outcome because I ultimately think the Warriors' kind of softness, lack of talent showed itself when it mattered most in this game. But like the flow of the game was not a momentum thing for me.
Yeah, it was kind of like to use like a football analogy, whoever has the ball last type of game. Whoever went on the last run was going to win that game, and Minnesota had the clock play in their favor.
Let's do a quick read, and then I want to get to Kerr real quick.
Let's do it. Light Years Podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this fall. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports stakes into real money all season long on Prize Picks. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win. So download the app today and use code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Guys, you know what I always talk about? Look good, feel good, perform good. I'll tell you right now, the number one way to address that is good underwear. Feel comfortable, something that's got that perfect blend of flexibility but support. And you know where I found that? I found that with Skims. And you know who did not wear their Skims tonight? It's Golden State Warriors. The way they closed that game tonight, none of those dudes were wearing Skims. I can tell you right now. Those dudes were tight. They could not move when they needed to. Those were dudes who were wearing some Costco underwear. That's not what we need. Anyway, getting back to the point. Like it is a thing. Like nothing has more of an effect on someone's mood and their ability to feel good about themselves than underwear. And Skims, the 5-inch boxer briefs, best pair of underwear I've ever owned. So guys, shop Skims men's at skims.com. And if you're looking for the perfect holiday gift for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. Also available at skims.com. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey. Select our show on the drop-down menu. We appreciate it. Many thanks from the Light Years guys. All right, Tommy. Get back in the chair. Get in the chair. You about to be in the. You about to be in the chair for at least another month plus. 6 weeks. 6 weeks at least. This was going to be my leading topic, but then they blew the game, so it's annoying. But Steve Kerr, he's gonna get criticized this because they lost this game. But the lineup choices tonight, the starting lineup choice, those were statements.
Obviously. I'm tired of the young guys, basically. And he keeps doing essentially like putting his own agenda out there and his own thoughts through lineups. And like, it's easy to do when you have, a team who's going to win 55 games plus no matter what, but it hurts a little bit more when you have a team that needs to get every margin to win games. But yeah, it was an obvious statement, like not starting Kuminga, not starting Pods, not starting Moody. Like they can all be good players one day. I don't have any doubt about that. These guys are all NBA players. They can find a good future in the NBA. I think they'll all be 10+ year players. But on this team, for whatever reason, it's not really working for any of them. Like Kuminga, obviously DNP. Moses was solid tonight for the most part. Pods, very up and down again. You just don't get consistent enough play from any of these guys.
If you take away the first round pick label on Moody or Pods, would you think they had any more pedigree than GP2 or Pat Spencer?
Pat's better than Pods right now, that's for sure. And they're a little bit different as players.
I was going to say, it's not even a question. They're certainly different as players, but like, if I brought you, let's pretend you don't watch the NBA. Let's pretend you're just grinding D3 college tape. Like you just hoops, but you're not watching the NBA. Sure. You don't know the players' names. If I made you watch 10 straight Warriors games, knowing none of the names, none of the agendas, none of this, would you think either of them are more talented, have higher upside, or anything special in context of the other rotation players?
No, not at all. Like Pat's a better shot maker than Pods. And some of it might just be, I think he has better touch naturally, just a better athlete, but like, he's also just older. Like guys who are in their mid to late 20s are just more composed, more confident. They've seen more than guys who are in their early 20s. That's why it's hard to win with guys like that.
But I just want to round my point out because, like, okay, let's talk about the Spurs. they're just top of mind because they're playing tomorrow, and I don't know. Wemby's talking while injured for the 80th time. I'm silently out on him, but anyway, it's a different conversation.
He's doing too much.
I'd go in on that, but we're not in a position to punch down to anyone. All right, so
be punching up.
Yes, unfortunately, as the 9 seed, most directions we're punching is up. Okay. Who's the Spurs' best player? So Wembanyama. Who's their second best player? Probably De'Aaron Fox. Go down the line, like Devin Vassell and Stephen Cass, probably their most, consistent contributors outside of those guys. But Dylan Harper, you don't know anything about the players, like the pedigree, anything. Even if he's playing like 15 minutes a game, you watch him for like 5 minutes, you're like, all right, that guy's talented, you know?
Yep.
And obviously he's a number 2 pick. It's a different situation, anything like that. But that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I like Pods. I like Moody. I've been pretty adamant supporting both of them for an extended period of time. But at a certain point, I'm just watching this. I'm just like, I'm literally just selling myself off the fact that like I like them as draft picks and they play hard. But I take away the first round pick and the expectations and the pedigree and the hope. Take away the hopium, like because like that's a big part of it. It's like guy gets drafted in the first round. You hope he's a piece for you. You hope he's a piece for you more than you do other players. If I'm just judging it off what I'm seeing on the court, just another guy is the best way I would describe both of them, right? Like they're not bad. They're not particularly good either. They're just another guy in the rotation.
Right. They're somebody you could find in the late first, early second round, essentially. If you're
in the late second round, such as the Warriors have shown with like Will Richard and Quentin Post and or in the G League with Pat Spencer and GP2. I mean, you get where I'm going with this.
Yeah, and like so Vassell was only the draft before Moody. Selected in the same range. Vassell was 2020, Moody was 2021. And Vassell's numbers aren't like wildly impressive. 15 points a game, 3 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 43% from the field, 40 from 3. But they feel different on the floor. Like when you
he's got more juice to him for sure.
Absolutely. Like if you need him to go get 25, he might be able to do it on a night where other people are out. Where it's like Moody, unless you're feeding him wide open shots, he's not going to do that. And yeah, it's really disappointing, man, that they can't count on these young guys more. Because you would think, like initially in the 2 timeline stuff, you're like, all right, these guys are all too young. But now it's year 3 for Pods, year 5 for Kuminga, year 5 for Moody. And they're just not giving you enough, at least in terms of the consistent like production and effort. Like you don't need them to score 25. You need them to like show up every night and provide similar stuff. 15 points a game. Can either Kuminga slash the basket every time, Moody hit open threes, play defense, but it's just so up and down. And look, it's not even their fault because people are going to interpret it that way. It's just holding on to these assets for so long and overvaluing them and having to be the smartest person in the room that you don't move them when their value's high and go get better players who are older who can actually help you win because you want to prove that you are the smartest front office in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's the job is to make these decisions and be ahead of what comes. And over the last 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5 years, I haven't seen any light years decision making. I've seen a lot of, we felt good about him, but it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, Didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Could have moved James Wiseman for like Miles Turner or insert starter who's not a star, but like, he's good, right?
Sure.
They didn't do that. And what do? We trade for the guy we let walk. Like, it's such an embarrassing transaction when you think about it. You keep going down the line, like, Jordan Poole, he helps you. You pay him, and you end up essentially giving away a pick to get off of him. Chris Paul. You get Chris Paul for him. You sell the optionality that the contract offers you, and you do nothing with it. You know, like all these things, like they are such a fucking average front office. Like I don't even know what else to say.
Bingo.
Like they're living off of the reputation of people in their past, and we can talk about like everyone has a price to pay on this in some capacity, but it's like the number one thing that we're talking about comes down to you gotta get players. You gotta get players. You gotta have someone who can read the whole thing and be like, Moses is cool, but if I can flip Moses for a guy who's gonna really help me, like I'll do it. You know, like these decisions, just they feel like they just run the team like a fan running the team, which is the most disgusting thing to say. You know,
it's like a 2K GM basically. You're just betting on talent and upside. And I think in the chat here, Too Much said it perfectly. It's because Jerry West left the building. They stopped.
It's not just Jerry.
It's
but
not
like
just
he's
him.
obvious.
But it's the whole, and it's not just Jerry, but it's everything that like came with him. Like that whole cohort of people. Jerry, Travis Length, Bob to a certain degree. And like Bob was obviously more of the people management side, but he had the player scouting to back him up. They had everything in place. And then Joe decided, well, it's my turn to run the show. You know, and I get it. We talked about it last time I was on. I get it. I get wanting to run the team when you're the owner. But it doesn't mean just because you've made all the money and you've been around smart people doesn't mean you know how to make the right decisions.
It's frustrating. Like what they're doing right now is just kind of pissing me off and putting me in a like. Let's just get to the fucking trade deadline. Let's get to the trade deadline. That's where my head's at right now. Which is, I really try not to turn every time we do this into like a trade deadline talk, but they're not helping me.
Yep.
Like, you want to know positives I have from tonight's game? Because I made a list. I made a rundown. I made the rundown like an idiot when they were up, thinking we could go a different direction.
It's your first rodeo?
No, but it's just, you know, it's just a habit. I'm in the process of you know, I like to prep. I like to think about it. The thing that really excited me about this game was D'Anthony Melton getting to play down the stretch there. I was actually shocked when I looked at the box score and he only played 21 minutes. I felt like he played.
They're
more
capping him
that.
right around there. They're capping.
No, I understand that, but like it felt like he was on the floor more often than that. It was more of they just did a really good job of getting him out there in impact minutes. Like it felt like any time that the game was in a moment that mattered, he was there in those moments, and particularly down the stretch. Like so, they clearly did a good enough job keeping his minutes capped so he could play the last 5 minutes of the game because he is one of their 5 best players, and he is a guy who should close games for them if he's healthy. And so that was cool. He made some really good plays too down the stretch. Like he's just a winning player. He's gonna help. He's gonna help Steph. He's gonna help Jimmy. He's what you're looking for in terms of like a smaller wing, a 2 guard next to Steph. And so that was cool, but you know, no one wants to talk about that after a loss, right? Like
no, and like he helps a lot, but he doesn't solve the ultimate problems of like number one, scoring outside of Steph and I guess Jimmy, and number 2, size. You know, and I'll keep coming back to the size point. I will, because like they just felt so small so many times tonight, where it's just you have a 6'3" guy on a 6'10" guy, and you can say, oh, you got to play tougher, you got to like crawl into him more defensively, you got to do this, you got to do that. Unless you have like supreme athletes, like OKC can do it because all of their guards are either built like linebackers or they're insanely fast and insanely quick. If they're that, you can do it.
Or let me put another point to it. They're all between 22 and 27. It's easier. It's easier to.
But Pods and Moody
play small.
They can't do it.
Well, yes. So to your point, like the number one thing is the talent. Age alone doesn't save your point. But like, you know, the Warriors used to do it. They did it when they had Clay and Draymond in their 20s. So I guess that's why I don't get as mad about the size point as you do. I get more mad about the talent point. Just like it's not like I'm dismissing your point. I get what you're saying and I agree with it on like a macro level. But to me, the bigger issue is like just get better players.
100%. But I think as you get older, you can't because the core three guys are going to be old. It's Steph, Dre, Jimmy are old. You're not changing that. So you can't play the same like small ball style necessarily because you're not going to be as fast. Even if you get other faster guys out there around them, I would rather like think about like the direction the Spurs went in 2014. They were just kind of bigger and like it's a way different league now. So you have to find the modern version of whatever that is. But they were big and smart. Like you need to find more size because you're going to naturally play slower. You're not going to play the same like fast-paced style of play. They're going to play fast in the half court, but they're not going to be able to keep up with OKC or teams worse than OKC who are fast and athletic because you don't have the horses to do that anymore. They're not in their 20s.
Yeah. I mean, it's both. Like the boring answer is it's both, right?
Sure.
Like they'd be better if they had Lou Dort and Cason Wallace. Why? Because those guys are better than Pods and Moody. You know, it would also be nice if they could find a little more positional size. Like we're in trade season, so the names are going to be thrown out there. But like Herb Jones is a good role player. He might have an outsized impact on this roster because they're starving for anyone over 6'7" who can walk and chew gum at the same time, who can do multiple things to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to be a dick about it.
No,
like,
no, you're right.
But like, right. No matter what you think of Herb, like the shot is inconsistent. He is an elite fucking defender as like a 6'9" guy.
One of the best wing defenders in the league.
Yeah. Both on and off ball. You can play him. He can rebound his position. He's a really good passer. Inconsistent shooter. I mean, he's honestly the perfect warrior because he's just a wannabe Andre Iguodala. You know, it's the end game of Steve Kerr is just to surround Steph with 4 Andre Iguodalas. But you know what? I'm not mad at it because right now they got like
circle around him.
Right now they got like 2 of them, and then they're going down to like the G League versions of him, like Guy Santos. Yep. You know, that's Spencer. Like, I'd rather deal with the challenges that a Jimmy, Herb, Draymond combination gives you offensively, knowing that at least they are elite at other aspects of the game, right? And then it's just kind of like, you know, the chips fall where they may. Whereas like right now, what we're talking about is just average dudes who don't need to be protected. They don't need just the Warriors like desire to prospect hug any player they pick is so annoying. Like that's like really where I'm at. Like, and I like Pods. I like Moody. We're not even going to talk about Kuminga tonight, but it's like whatever you think of any of them. And honestly, Kuminga's gotten probably more grief than he deserves this season.
Agreed.
Like honestly, I'll take blame for it just as much as anyone. Like, you know, I thought he was always a poor fit. He is a poor fit, but his poor fit is not the reason other guys are untalented too. You know, like that's an important call out too. So it's just kind of like, it's just get better players, man. Just get better fucking players.
Get better players.
They win this game if Draymond's in this game. I'll tell you that right now. I feel confident they win. But the flip side is, do I need Draymond, Jimmy, and Steph, who had 40, playing that hard against an antless Wolves team? That's a statement about your roster. That's a statement about your roster, right there.
That was the thing I was thinking at the end. Why do we need Steph to drop 39 in that game?
Or why do we need Draymond? Like, you could convince me, okay, all right, if Ant's playing, you need Draymond out there. But if Ant's not playing, in theory, that trade is a win for the Warriors, right? In theory, if I tell you, okay, Ant's not playing, but Draymond's not playing, you're like, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take the trade.
Yep.
And well, it wasn't a good trade.
It never is when the other team's best player is out. Anyway, Light Years Podcast. We are brought to you by Z-Biotics. I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough days after drinking. Just remember to take your pre-alcohol before your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So go to zbiotics.com/lightyears to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Lightyears at checkout. Zbiotics is backed with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lightyears and use the code lightyears at checkout for 15% off.
And guys, you know about our friends over at Body Spec. So I'm just going to make this really quick. Look, holiday season, try and get that gift for a special someone. More importantly, you're going to have a New Year's resolution to get back in shape. What's the most important thing about getting back in shape? Knowing where you're at physically. What's the best way to do that? It's like a DEXA scan. What's a DEXA scan? It's a highly accurate method of measuring your body's composition, lean muscle mass, visceral fat, body fat percentage, the things that really tell you what's going on, not just, standing on the scale like it's the 1970s. Our friends at Body Spec have made the DEXA scan affordable for all. So with the code LightYears45, you can get a scan for only $45. These scans traditionally cost $300, $500, $600. Super expensive. They've made it affordable for everyone. They got mobile vans. They'll come to you. Guys, it's a no-brainer. Go to BodySpec.com. Use the code LightYears45, sign up for your DEXA scan, have the mobile van come out, scan you, start your fitness journey. All right. We got a couple people want to come through. I say we let them through.
Let's do it.
Let's get our guy. Let's get our guy Eugene up here. Eugene, I've been seeing you sitting in the green room with a disappointed face.
Hey, man.
You look like you just went through a war, dog.
I have a 7-year-old son. This is more disappointing than my son sometimes. No, it's like, this is rough, man. Like, I mean, first, I thought we were done with agenda basketball, but then when I see that starting lineup, I'm like, this is insane. Again, I understand to a point of what Kerr's trying to do, trying to make a statement and all that. Like, that makes sense. But doesn't it feel like you guys probably play fantasy football outside of Steph? Like,
Not a great season for me.
Yeah, same. But everyone's
first place for me, just to be clear.
Hey, we don't know what that feels like as Warriors fans right now, but everyone's got their first round pick. But doesn't this feel like the whole roster is full of like, Michael Pittman or Jordan Addison, and you have just a bunch of those that you
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah. Like, you have a bunch of mid flex players that so many of them that maybe
took Xavier Worthy a couple rounds too early. Yeah.
Exactly. And like this game, it's like, dude, maybe maybe Kuminga would have helped. Who knows? But it's just you're in that predicament and you see Kyle Pitts going off on your bench and you're like, well, what can I do? So like it's frustrating, but just the roster construction, kind of like the Tommy.
That is actually a good way to put it because it is. If you don't know which lineup to play, you don't have players. Like you're in a bunch of wide receiver 3. I was gonna go 4. Flex is actually the correct way to put it. Like you just have dudes who you like them all, but you love 0 of them. You have 0 faith in any of them. You're like, Yahoo says this guy is going to get me 0.8 more points than this guy.
Just ride with the algorithm.
Exactly. I don't trust either of you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't trust either of you.
Like just good enough to not drop, and it's you're
stuck.
You are stuck in flex purgatory. That we have CMC and a bunch of wideout 3s. Like that is our roster. And like to
be honest with you, my team is Josh Allen, CMC, and a bunch of wide flex players.
Hey,
but it's working for me this year. It's working for me.
Maybe Steve Kerr's got to hire you on the coaching staff or something. But I don't know, man. It's just
I don't think we have Josh Allen, CMC here. I think we have we have one of those in staff, and then
yeah. I mean, like the roster is pretty frustrating. I mean, Tommy said we look small today. We're gonna look slow on Sunday against Portland, and it's it's just not gonna stop. So like, yeah, January 15th can't get here fast enough, but it's just I don't even know, like, will Joe actually trade Kuminga for something with the picks that we need? Like he's gone for sure, but It's just like, what are we going to get back?
I don't know about that. I don't know if he's gone. I'm
You
more and
really
more
think-
skeptical after that of that every day. I mean, I think Steve is trying to make a statement, obviously not putting him in the rotation like this has to end. But Joe just doesn't want to take less value than he thinks Kuminga has. And that's the real issue. Am I wrong, Sam? Correct me if I'm wrong. You got the sources.
No, you're right, but I will say this. I don't know how much power Steve has if he keeps doing this and they lose. You know, the move he put with this starting lineup tonight, balls. That's nuts on the table. That's like it's hey Joe, your picks are cute, but I'm going with Pat Spencer and Buddy Hield. That's you get away with that if you win, but you lose to the Antless Wolves. Now the question is going to be like, do we really need to make you the highest paid coach in the league again? Do we really need to give you $20 million a year? You know, and I don't think any decisions made on an individual game, but it's like those are like, to your point, like Steve's sending a clear message, which is my system works. I know what I'm doing. Just move one of these guys for a better version of Pat Spencer or a better version of Buddy Hield or a better version of Guy Santos, and we will win a bunch of games. And I have a decade of experience that tells you that you put those players around me, it will go. And then you look at it the other way, which is, you know, yeah, when you have the perfect team, you were able to land the plane. You're a great coach, but now you're given a more average roster and you don't know how to make players better. You know, there are coaches who probably could do better with Kuminga. There are coaches, honestly, who could probably do better with Pods and Moody. And I don't know. But all I'm saying is losing games like tonight does not help Steve's power.
He's gone if they don't make the playoffs. I truly believe that. If they don't make the playoffs, I think he's gone.
And
I don't think there's a question about that.
And on that point, like a question I want to ask both of you though, and you might have talked about this before, but like, do you guys think though it has passed Steve? Like so watching tonight's game, just seeing kind of the system that he's trying to run, it's gonna get you threes and you live and die by it. If you move like this,
I actually don't
agree.
I don't buy that at all. I want to go first. I think it's going to get you a ton of dunks if you have better players, as it always has,
and better.
I think he's Phil Jackson. You know, the triangle didn't work for a lot of dudes. You give Phil the right dudes, he'll build a team that's better than anyone's team.
Mm-hmm.
But he's pretty rigid. He's pretty rigid. It has to be his type of guys. So take that for what you want. You know. He is so much like Phil Jackson. Like the more I go, like I know he talks about Phil and Pop being his mentors, and he obviously is influenced by both. But every time I watch him, like I see like 80% Phil, 20% Pop. You know, and you know what? To be honest, Phil's more successful of the two. So it's not even an insult per se, but it's like it's so like he knows exactly what he wants, and he's not going to bend. He's not going to bend. So if you give him what he wants, he will deliver the results. But if you give him a little less, he's not the guy to take spare parts and make it better than it is. Like that's Spoelstra.
If you go back and Phil was notorious for hating young players. Notorious. The guy won 11 championships. He's revered now, and nobody talks about that stuff anymore because he hasn't coached in 15 years. But if you go back and read stuff, he's like, literally, he refused to play young players. Like that was his whole thing. And Steve is not that rigid, but he's kind of the same way. Because to run the systems they run, like you need smart players who can make very quick decisions.
Experienced players.
Yeah. And that's why Pat and whoever else looks better in the system because they played more basketball.
My point was, I mean, ZJ kind of took my take, but like, I think that is, I kind of agree with you guys to a point, but it's contingent on finding an Andre Iguodala. It's contingent on finding a Sean Livingston. And I'm just like, with this CBA and this economy that we're in, it's so hard to find those type of dudes.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. That's bullshit. It's bullshit.
But actually, I think I agree with Eugene to a degree that like I do think the new CBA does force you to play younger players more. So you're going to have to.
How many guys of the Celtics? How many young guys of the Celtics play in their championship run? 0. Not one. You don't have to.
How many the Thunder play?
You have to be willing to give up first round picks, and the Warriors are not willing to do that, and that's the crux of all of this. You could have had Derek White. You could have had Porzingis. You could have had a bunch of guys who are good, smart veterans who could run whatever system Kerr wants to run.
So, I agree with that, but to me, like the Celtics were built with the old CBA, but now like the OKC to me is the path. You got to just strike on your first round picks and have a bunch of guys on a rookie contract that will just keep delivering. I don't know if we can do that with this weird front.
Let me split the difference on that. Part of the reason OKC is so good at it, and part of the reason the Celtics were good at it, was evaluating the value of certain picks.
Correct.
Like Kassan Wallace is essentially like baby Derek White in a lot of ways. They're different players, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're getting that defensive guard, glue guy, connector type out of a rookie contract guy. They could have swung on higher potential at the number 7 or 8 pick. You know, they were just like, this guy can fucking play. We like him. He might not have the upside of the guy that, we could have taken. I'd have to look at the draft right now, so I feel like an idiot. But like, you know what I mean? Like there was probably someone with higher upside available at that pick, and they went with a guy where they were just like, this is at worst a single, at best a triple, but we know he can play. We know he can play. We know he can play the role we want him to play. I think that's the biggest thing that's changed with the NBA, if I'm being honest with you. It's smart teams are valuing roles as opposed to the old NBA, which was go get 3 stars and then we'll find the role players because they'll want to come here for cheap. No role player is cheap now. Every role player knows their value. Like if you're Alex Caruso, you're going to get $25 million because you're good at what you do. So you have to be able to essentially realize that, like, yeah, you got to give up a pick to get the right 4th man in your lineup. You got to draft them yourself. You can't just try to pick a bunch of Giannis's.
But realistically, how many of OKC's first round picks made a contribution to their championship? Chet, obviously, that goes without being said, but he was the number 3 pick. Like, and they made the right pick, but that was
okay. Let's take the core. Let's take their core 3. Let's take their core 3 out because their 3 stars are their 3 stars: Shea, Jalen, and Chet. Okay,
Jalen was a great pick. Jalen was a great pick, genuinely great pick. But Shea, they trade for. Every role player is a trade or an undrafted free agent. Caruso, Hartenstein, Dort, like all these guys, they either gave up picks to get them or they were smart enough to sign them in free agency.
Aaron Wiggins, I mean, his late draft. Kassan Wallace, we talked about. He's kind of the exception to the rule, just a lotto pick that they felt confident about. Could be like a Drew Holiday type.
But they're Andre. Caruso is their Andre, and Hartenstein's their Bogut, and they traded for one and they signed the other. Like, you can still do it that way. You just have to not be stubborn and be willing to give up picks or move your cap around.
Just be decisive, to be honest. Right. Like they just like have some balls and be like, you know what? We're gonna overpay Hartenstein because we think he can be the piece that tips this.
Bingo.
And he was so close to being a Warrior that one offseason. But let bygones be bygones. I'll leave you with this because Tommy's here. Better chance OKC repeats or the stupid Dodgers repeat. I would love your take on that. All right. Have a good one.
OKC. By far.
Yeah, probably.
Winning three in a row is tough no matter what sport, especially in baseball. Though.
Baseball is a tougher one to predict.
It's so random. So random.
All right, I say we get out of here unless anyone else wants to come up. Nope. Okay. Call it a night. See everyone soon.
All right, brother.